Good day, Doctor. We are Group 30, and our project is on customer personality analysis. Next, we will walk you through how we used Power BI to identify which customers a B2C retailer should prioritize for campaign investment, and more importantly, why. Most retailers today face three core problems. First, high web visit counts create a false sense of customer engagement. Customers who browse frequently but never buy consume advertising budget without generating revenue. Second, household composition is rarely factored in, yet our data shows that customers with two young children respond to campaigns at just 4.35%, compared to 26.54% for children-free customers. Third, the most variable customers are not digital-first buyers. They purchase primarily in-store and through catalogs, making web-only campaigns structurally insufficient. To address these problems, we developed five business questions, each building on the last, from identifying who has spending capacity to understanding what barriers exist to determining which segments the business should target in its next campaign.
The dataset used in this project is the customer personality analysis dataset sourced from Kaggle. It contains 2,240 customer records from a B2C retail company. This dataset was selected because it provides a multi-dimensional coverage required to answer all five research questions with a single coherent data source. This combination of demographic, behavioral, transactional, and campaign data is precisely what a micro-segmentation approach demands. The table below summarizes the key numeric fields across all 2,214 records prior to cleaning. Income shows a wide distribution with 24 missing values. The only field with missingness, average total product spending across the six categories is $607. Though this makes significant variation by income group, the average customer made approximately 4 web purchases and 6 store purchases, but visited the website over 5 times per month. An early signal that web visits and web purchase are not equivalent measures.
For the first cleaning step, we use the Power Query editor. First, we remove the rows with missing income. The original dataset had 2,240 customer records, and the 24 records had missing values in the income column. Because income is important for our customer value analysis, we removed these rows. Second, we removed one income outlier. One customer had an income over $666,666, which was much higher than the normal range, so we treated it as an extra value. Third, we cleaned the marital status column. Values such as alone, absurd, and yellow were changed into single to make the categories more consistent. Finally, we checked the data types. Numeric columns were set as whole numbers, text columns were set as text, and the DT customer was changed into a date type. After cleaning the data in Power Query, we created several calculated columns and measures using DEX. For example, total spend was used to combine spending across all product categories. Family type helped us classify customers by household structure, and customer view segment helped us group customers by spending level. We also created measures such as average spending, overall response rate, and total customers. These were used in the KPI card and dashboard summarize. Overall, this DAX feed helped connect the cleaned dataset with our 5 research questions and made the Power BI dashboard easier to analyze.
Hi, Professor. I'm Liang Shuyan. I'm going to introduce question 1. First, I researched the impact of age. Among age groups, customers aged 60 and above record the highest average spending at $749, followed by the 45 to 59 group at $645, the 18 to 29 group at $606, and the 30 to 44 group at $525. We can see customers aged 60 and above have the highest spending. Despite their small population, they form a high-value target group. By education group, postgraduate customers record the highest average spending at 644, followed closely by graduates at 619, while undergraduates average 412. Although the gap between postgraduate and graduate customers is relatively small, both groups spend substantially more than undergraduate. Then we will talk about income. Income is the strongest single predictor of total customer spending. High-income customers record an average total spend of 1,376, compared with 463 for middle-income customers and only 72 for low-income customers. The large spending gap confirms income as the strongest first-level filter for identifying commercial value customers. However, income alone reveals potential. It does not indicate which customers are accessible through marketing campaigns, a question we will address in question 2. According to the above research results, we identified that high-income, older, and better-educated customers show the strongest spending capacity. But spending capacity alone does not guarantee campaign response. Question 2 therefore examines whether these customers can actually be reached and converted.
Today, I will present question 2 and question 3 of Customer Personality Analysis project. My part focus on household constructor effect champion response and how high-value customers generate value through different purchasing channels. For question 2, we first look at how household constructor affects champion response. From the chart, customers with no children have a highest response rate at 27.53%. In comparison, large family customers response at 10.55%, and small family customers response at 10.35%. This means no children customers response more than 2.6 times higher than family customers. So household constructor clearly affects how likely customers are to respond to champions. Next, we compare kid home and teen home. For kid home, the response rate drops clearly as the number of young children increase. It falls from 17.63% with no young children to 12.29% with one children, and only 5.65% with two children. For teen home, customers without teenagers also have the highest response rate, where customers with one or two teenagers response less. However, the decline is not as sharp as kid home, so both children and teenagers reduce champion response, but young children increase a stronger household fraction. Teen home also lower champion response, but the effect is weaker than kid home. Customer without teenagers responds more strongly than customer with teenagers. The interaction chart shows the same pattern. The strongest response comes from customer with no kid home and no teen home. Once children or teenagers are added, the response rate becomes lower. So the business impacts implication is clear. So no children customers should be prioritized for champion activation for family with children. Champion should focus more on practical value saving and family needs instead of using general promoting messages. For question 3, we move from customer profile to purchasing channels. The chart shows that store purchases are still the strongest channel across high-value segments. Tier 2 high-value customers have 8.6 average store purchases. Tier 1 high-value accepted before customers have 8.3, and Tier 1 accepted before no children customers have 8.2. This shows that valuable customers are not only online buyer. Physical stores are still very important. Stronger customer segments also use more than one channel. For example, Tier 1 high value no children has 5.2 web purchases and 6.1 catalog purchases, but lower priority, more than 2 years old children only has 3.1 web purchases and 1.0 catalog purchases. So stronger segments use store, web, and catalog together, while lower priority groups show much weaker channel activity. The channel share chart gives one more insight. Catalog share creates the clearest gap between strong and weak segments. Low-cost retargeting has only 9.25% catalog share, and low priority, more than 2 years old children has 11.79%, but Tier 1 high value no children reaches 31.9%, and Tier 1 accepted before no children reaches 30.86%. This means catalog is still useful for valuable customers. Overall, valuable customers should be managed through store catalog and web channel together. Digital campaigns can support engagement, but they should not fully replace store or catalog activation. This also leads to question 3, where we check whether web engagement really turns into purchases. That's all my parts. Thank you.
My name is Asra Ishakan and I will be presenting for questions 4 and 5. Q4 tests whether web visit frequency signal customers' value, and the answer is no. The high visit low efficiency group visits at about 7.80 times a month, almost identical to the efficient group, which is at 7.58. But their web purchases are just 2.52 versus 8.25 respectively, and their average spending is only about $193 compared to the $868 for the customer who visits far less, same visits but entirely different commercial outcome. They are not compensating by purchasing offline either. The high visit low efficiency group averages at about 3.58 for store and 0.47 for catalog purchases, the lowest across every channel. This is not really a channel switching problem, it's kind of a fundamentally lower commercial value profile regardless of touchpoint. The family type chart explains why, linking directly back to Q2. A 30.4% of this segment are large family household, compared to the 14.1% in the lower web engagement group. Family household browse the research, but really they don't buy anything. Their web traffic is a research signal, not a purchase signal. The implication? Move these 643 customers to the automated email nurture and redirect the free budget to Tier 1 segments in Q5. Q5 brings all 4 findings together. Our baseline is 2,215 customers with about 14.90% rate, $605 average spending, a value score of 90. Targeting by spending or response rate alone misleads. The value score spending multiplied by response rate corrects for both. The bar chart shows 3 Tier 1 segments pulling well ahead, with about 52.59% and about 42% and 31.3% versus Tier 2 high value at just 13.33% below the overall average. The priority matrix makes it visual. Tier 1 clusters in the upper right, high spend and high response together. Tier 2 high value sits on high spending but far left on the response. This customer need offline and catalog activation as Q3 shows, not more digital spend. The targeting table gives us the exact number. Tier 1 high value plus no children and recent. They have about 124 customers with a 52.42% response and a $1,546 spend with a value score of 810, 9 times from the baseline. Tier 2 high value, despite a similar spending at about $1,383, scores only 179 due to a total of 12.96% response rate. Same budget but a fraction of the return. The spending chart confirms the separation. Tier 1 above $1,300, Tier 2 at about $932, low priority below $200. There are 351 Tier 1 customers are the answer, but not only visible after applying all 4 filters. Income from Q1, household friction from Q2, channel preferences from Q3, and web efficiency from Q4. Without layering them, they remain invisible.
To summarize our 5 key findings, income is the primary driver of spending with a 19 times gap between high and low income groups. Household structure suppresses campaign response dramatically. Child-free customers respond at 26.54%. Families with 2 young children at just 4.35%. High-value customers are omnichannel buyers with store and catalog accounting for 70% of their purchase. Web visit frequency is a misleading indicator. The most frequent visitors spend the least. And finally, the return on investment target segment framework identifies 972 Tier 1 customers with value scores 6 to 9.5 times above the overall baseline. Based on these findings, we have 4 recommendations. First, concentrate premium campaign. Spend on 102 priority target customers, high-value customers who have already responded to a campaign, using personalized catalog, mailings, and in-store activations. Second, convert the 141 potential target customers through offline-first approaches. Remove them from digital retargeting and use direct catalog and in-store incentives instead. Third, Apply Keep Home as a mandatory negative filter. Customers with 2 or more young children should be excluded from premium campaigns and redirected to value-based family communications. Fourth, move high-visit, low-value customers to automated email nurture sequences and redirected the free retargeting budget to Tier 1 activation.